Gary Neville waiting to speak to us. Did you score 2 goals in a game, Gary, for Manchester United?
No, I scored 2 goals in consecutive weeks, or 1 and 1, which, does that count?
I'll give you
From
that.
right back, you'll take that, Gary.
Especially on the day you've been inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame as well. Does he look like a Manchester United player already, Mbeumo?
Yeah, I think Mbeumo and Cunha, I think the risk was removed from those signings in the sense that they've been in the Premier League before and they've got that hunger to deliver at a different level. There was a lot of things about those signings that you felt more comfortable with, and I think that when I look at United now with Mbeumo, I think Mbeumo looks like he belongs, he looks hungry, he looks like he wants to score goals. It wasn't quite happening for him and Cunha in the first maybe 4 or 5 matches when they were getting into the positions, they always wanted the ball, but they weren't maybe taking their chances. But I think Manchester United have got something to build on. If those two can stay up front and live up front in those spaces, and the other 8 or 9 players in the team can just be the foundation for them and sort of keep more clean sheets and defend well, those two will win a lot of football matches for this club.
Of course, the new ground that we're treading here under Ruben Amorim. Does this feel particularly significant, Gary? 3 on the bounce?
I think it does. I think that it feels like his best week in the job. The week where I think that, look, where he's been, and I think where we've all been with it, I wouldn't have been surprised. We were talking about him losing his job, and I was thinking he was under massive pressure after going into the international break in October. I felt as though that change could be imminent, but the victory at Anfield, and it shows you how things can turn around. And then obviously this was so important today. Look, he's not out of the woods yet, and it's certainly not a time to get carried away. But I think Manchester United are now where they thought they probably would be. They'll slip down a couple of places after the rest of the teams play, and they'll end up in 6th or 7th. But that's where I think everyone thought they would be. So, look, this has been a very important week for the manager and for the club. And you could see the celebration at the end there was more than just a little bit, I think, of relief that, yeah, we needed this badly.
Gary, Jamie, one of the big things that struck me in these performances, these last 3 games, certainly has been almost how much heart, desire that they've shown. And it looks like a team that the fans can now almost get behind as well.
Yeah, one thing, Jamie, is I think that a few weeks ago I was a little bit worried that the players didn't believe in Ruben Amorim's system, that maybe there was an element of them not winning matches and starting to question it and listen to the noise that all of us, including myself, had added to that. However, one thing that's been absolutely not in doubt when you speak to people in and around the club is that the players really like him as a person, and that does count for a lot. Because I think there's no doubt he's not lost the dressing room in terms of spirit and energy and how they feel towards him. So I think they want to play for him. They're desperate to win, and I think you've seen that coming together a little bit in the last week. I mean, winning at Anfield in any season is special, but for Ruben Amorim to win at Anfield when it was so unexpected, I think just has given them such a big lift. But look, we'll look forward to the game next week against Nottingham Forest, Tottenham away the week after. There's still a big job to do in this month, but I felt as though it was a month of reckoning. And if it had started badly last week at Liverpool, it could have gone a different way, but it feels very different. It feels like the momentum's with them a little bit and the spirit's good.
So what questions do you still have, Gary?
I suppose consistency. It's been a team and a club that you can't really rely on for so long. So the idea of winning 2 or 3 matches doesn't take that away. You can't sort of build that trust back in an instant. So that's still not there. But I think that there's something happening there that, I think the front 2, I've just mentioned them. You've got something if you can keep that back 5 compact, and amongst them there's some decent defenders, half-decent defenders. That back 5 can just stay solid, and the midfield in front, let them 2 up front go and do what they do. I think it can be sort of a recipe for Manchester United to have a decent season and to get into the top 6. There's question marks against Sesko. I think that he obviously was a bigger risk of a signing and a lot more of an unknown. He doesn't quite look like he's settled in yet. So it'd be nice, I think, if he can start to look, it starts to look like a front 3. It does feel still like a front 2 with him stood up there. I think that's the big job over the next couple of weeks.
Is that just a question of goals with him, with Sesko, Gary, do you think? Is that all he needs, or is it more the build-up play, the way he sort of he plays with those other 2?
No, it's more than the goals. It's the inclusion within the actual combinations that you see from the others. I mean, you see Bruno Fernandes and Mount, who wasn't playing today, but you see those 2 linking very successfully with Mbeumo and Cunha. You don't quite see Sesko being part of that mix yet. He's not sort of got up to speed and the pace of it, of how quickly they're playing with each other. So he needs to get his game up to speed. That'll only come through time, and obviously he's still quite young. But he just does need to get there because, it's a big signing still. It's 80 million. If they can become a front 3, then obviously that will be a huge step. At the moment, it feels to me like a 2 with another guy stood up there occupying space.